Welcome back to Oh Yum, and I've got another great cook-along recipe for you. This is a little more of a craving treat. This recipe is for my little chicken schnitzel sliders. Yes, I'm gonna walk you through the traditional three-step breading process to show you how you can pan fry these chicken sliders. Top them with ranch dressing, a little arugula on a brioche bun, and you have a treat for a crowd, or maybe just an extra treat for a few of you. Stay with me, I'm making little chicken schnitzel sliders. I'll start things off by getting my breading station ready, then we'll talk about the chicken. So I'm going for this classic breading station. That means 3 dishes, and gee, do you think the baker has some pie plates hanging around? I like this because I have nice open space for each step of the breading process. Now, the reason you go through these 3 stages is if I were just to dip chicken or any sort of cutlet in straight breadcrumbs, well, they wouldn't stick. So you need to first create a dry barrier on whatever it is you're breading. And this goes for vegetables too. So I'm just starting with flour. Then you need some moisture so those final breadcrumbs stick. And for that, I'm relying on whole eggs. The yolks add the richness, and the whites help promote a nice crisp barrier around the outside, holding the juices of whatever it is you're cooking inside. You can use a whisk, but because it's a flat dish, a fork will do. This is really the first way you learn to bread anything when you go to cooking school. And I know that definitively because my husband is a culinary instructor and he just taught this lesson to his students last week. Okay, and for the final, the breadcrumb. Now you could use a regular breadcrumb. It could be a seasoned breadcrumb if you want. I'm going for the super crunch factor, so I've got a combination of cornflake crumbs and panko breadcrumbs that are a little more coarse than your regular finely ground dry breadcrumbs. And so I'll give these a stir too to combine them. But while I'm stirring everything, here's another tip. Season each component of your breading. So I'm using a little bit of fine salt in each, just to layer the seasoning. If you've got pre-seasoned breadcrumbs, well, you can hold back on some of that salt a little bit. And a little pepper in each. The salt is more important than the pepper in terms of each. You can leave the pepper out of the egg if you wish, but I just do it out of habit. Give everything a good stir. All right, breading station is ready. Let's talk about that chicken. I've taken care of my chicken cutlets with a 2-step process. So this was 2 chicken breasts, about a pound of chicken. And what I did first was remove the tenders from the boneless chicken breast, skinless as well. Then I cut that into 5 portions, about equal weight. You don't have to weigh them, but just kind of gauge it by your eye. Then I take a resealable bag, split it open down one side, slip in each piece, and you can use the back of a pot, or I've got a meat mallet, and just pound it. Now this creates a texture to your chicken cutlets that is more even, and it won't have any stringiness to it, which is a risk sometimes with a chicken cutlet. You could equally do this with veal if you wanted more of a classic veal schnitzel, or even a pork tenderloin, which tends to be about a pound in weight, yields the same amount if you wanted to do pork schnitzel. So really the choice is yours. The essence here is the lesson in the breading station and frying up these delicious sliders. Now let's get that pan preheated. I want to heat it up on medium-high heat to start. And it really does depend on your burner. You want to cook between medium-high and medium, just to lightly brown the chicken as you're cooking it through fully. Now, we're not deep fat frying, but I do want a layer of a neutral oil, a generous amount on the bottom, really to cover the bottom of the pan, but for flavor, I want to add a little butter. There we go. I'm going to let the butter be my guide. The butter is going to melt in with the oil a little bit, then the butter's going to bubble up. When the bubbles subside, then I know my pan and the oil is hot enough to start frying. So while my pan heats up, I'm going to get my first round, because of course you're going to have to cook this in batches. It depends on the size of your pan. Let me get some of my chicken breaded. So start with the dry, fully coated, give it a little shake, and a full dip in the egg, and then finish with the breadcrumbs. You'll have to stay with me for future cook-alongs, because I'm going to go through the process of different breading methods with different styles of recipes. I have a recipe for arancini. Oh, amazing, but it has a different breading style. I've got lots of ideas, and I love your suggestions, so please pop me a note, tell me what you'd like to see. It can be more baking. I've got lots of cooking recipes in store too. That's why we're alternating right now between a cook-along and a bake-along. All right. Hear that sizzle? It's starting to fade. There we go. Now that that sizzle of the milk fats in the butter has faded, I can drop in my chicken cutlets. I'll continue to cook these, flip them over about halfway through, and it should take about just 5 minutes or so to cook fully. And I'm going to be careful that I cook to 165 Fahrenheit or 74 Celsius. Since I'm doing this in batches, I'll finish this batch, hold it in a low temperature oven on a tray with a cooling rack. That way, that breading stays crispy all the way around. Once I've fully cooked the chicken, then I can assemble my sliders. I find these small chicken cutlets take about 5 minutes total, so 2.5 on each side, flipping them over, and I use my raw chicken tongs to flip them over. Then I'll switch to a clean pair to remove them. And what I do is put them on a cooling rack that's sitting on a tray. That way the breading stays completely crisp all the way around as I keep the chicken warm in the oven, because I do have to cook this in batches. Oh yeah, these are ready to be flipped. And I'll just carry on until all the chicken is cooked. I'm holding those chicken cutlets in the oven right now at 300 degrees. That gave me a chance to tidy up, sanitize, and we are ready to assemble. There we go. I'll shut the oven off. These are so easy to assemble. You can find little white dinner rolls if you want. I've got small brioche buns. I'm actually working on a buttermilk brioche recipe of my own. It's not quite ready yet, but you know I'll share it with you as soon as it is. Let's assemble a couple of these. I've got a great recipe for homemade buttermilk ranch dressing. The link to the video is below. You have to make it, but the ranch dressing with the crispy chicken is just ideal. So I'll put a bit of that ranch on the top and the bottom. And if you're a hot sauce fan, well, a couple drops of hot sauce would definitely fit in here. You know what? I would love some hot sauce. You don't see the spicy side of me when I do all my baking, but we've got a collection of probably, what would you say, Michael? About a dozen hot sauces on hand at any given time.
And pickles.
And pickles! Yes, and pickled jalapenos, and you know what? I'm gonna get a fork because I left my tongs in the sink. That's a generous chicken cutlet. That's not so mini. And while I had that subtle amount of seasoning in the breading on the chicken, I'm gonna finish with just a sprinkle of sea salt here. If you wanted cheese, you can melt that on top. And I've got some beautiful fresh arugula, so that pepperiness against the chicken and the ranch dressing is ideal. If you've stacked these high with other elements, well, you can use a skewer to hold them in place. Oh, and there it is, little chicken sliders. Now you see why I'm not calling them mini. They're not full size, but they're not 2-bite wonders either. But that contrast between the breading, the soft bun, the peppery arugula, the ranch dressing, you've got a treat, whether you're cooking these for a crowd or as an extra treat for just a couple of you at home. Regardless, what you now have mastered is how to do that 3-step breading process, just like you learn in cooking school. And I'll see you again for another delicious cook-along recipe. Thanks for joining me. The crunch. I'm glad I added the hot sauce. Bye, everyone.